Sometimes when you're taking group photos, you end up with images where you've got one person on the left looking great and one person on the right not looking so great. So you have to combine two images together so that everybody looks their best. I have a great example here of two images that were taken, one right after the other, and I need to do a head swap. I'm here inside the Perfect Photo Suite as a standalone today, and I'm going to be going from Perfect Browse into Perfect Layers to show you how to do this. So first we need to take both of our images. I'm going to select each one by holding the Shift key on my keyboard. Then I'm going to go to the top right-hand corner and click on Layers. I'm going to edit copies of my original images, so I'll make sure I select that top option. You can go down and you can play around with your file format. Here, I highly suggest that you automatically choose Photoshop file. That will give you a layered-based workflow to play around with. I'm also going to go down and set my color space, bit depth, and resolution depending on what I'm going to do with these photos. For me, I want to print this image after I'm done with it, so I'm going to make sure I set all of those options specifically for getting ready to print my image. Once I'm done, I'll go ahead and click OK. It's going to take both of these images, bring me into Perfect Layers, and it's going to open them into separate tabs. You'll see at the top of my screen, there's Mask 1 copy and Mask 2 copy. Now what we need to do is combine both of these photos together. At the moment, it doesn't really matter which photo you're going to select and copy to the other. You'll be able to move your layers around once you bring them into the same file. So let's go ahead and select this Mask 2 copy photo. Go up to the Layer menu and choose Copy Layer. What we're doing is we're going over and copying the photo layer that you see on the right-hand side of your screen. Then we're going to go up to our tabs and click on Mask 1, open up this file, go up to the Layer menu, and choose Paste Layer. Now on the right-hand side, you'll see I've got Mask 1 and Mask 2. Both of my photos are here in the same file, and I can now do my head swap. Now, it is important to pay attention to which image you want on the top or the bottom. I'm going to turn these photos on and off so we can take a look at each one of the layers that we have here. I'm going to turn Mask 2 off in my layer stack, and this is my first image. Now, I really like the figure in the middle. I like his face, but the girl on the left, I don't really like her expression very much, and the guy on the left looks just fine. Now let's turn Mask 2 back on. This is our top layer. I don't really like the look on the face of the person in the middle. However, the girl's smile on the left is a lot better, and the guy on the right, again, is just fine. So what we want to do is make sure that we do as little masking as possible. With Mask 2 here, the only thing I'm going to have to do is remove the middle person's face with my masking brush. So it's going to be very simple. So I want to make sure that this is on top because I'm going to have to do a very, very quick and fast mask job here. So make sure you're paying attention to which layer needs to go on top. And you can experiment with your own images to see what's going to work best. The other thing that you want to make sure is that your photos are lined up properly. These two images were taken on a tripod, one right after the other. So they're actually lined up automatically. This group of people didn't move that much in between these two photos, so there's not a lot I have to worry about. But sometimes you are going to have to move an image around and set it into place. To do that, go over to the left-hand side and choose the Transform tool at the top of your tool well. Once you have it selected, you can click and drag a photo around to move it into place. Now, obviously, we can't see the layer or photo underneath this one to line it up properly. So there's actually a really great way to do that. On the right-hand side of your screen, in your layer stack, right up at the top, take the layer opacity slider and move it down to the left. Then you'll be able to see a little bit of each one of these layers. And now, when I move it around, you'll see I can kind of slide it in to place. You can also go up to the top right-hand corner, left-hand corner, any corner of your transform tool bounding box. And then if you hover your mouse around the outside of this box, you're going to get a little circular arrow. This also gives you the ability to rotate. So if for some reason you need to rotate your photo, you can go ahead and do that as well. So there are lots of different ways that you can play around with lining these up. And sometimes when you're taking two photos, you may have to do that. Now for now, I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because these photos are automatically lined up the way that I want them. Now let's go ahead and actually do the swap. On the left-hand side of my screen, I'm going to go over and select my masking brush tool. I'm going to go to the tool options bar and make sure my mode is set to paint out. You can play around with your feathering and your opacity. I want to make sure I leave my perfect brush off for this. It's a really simple background and I don't need to be extremely exact. I really am just painting a face in and out really quickly. Then I'm just going to click and drag over the face that I want to bring in. Now, you do want to make sure that things like clothes and whatnot are lined up properly. You also want to make sure that your background looks good. Sometimes you'll have to take the feathering amount around the edge of your brush up in your tool options bar and raise it all the way up to 100 and maybe lower the opacity down to about, I would say 40 or 50. And kind of blend in backgrounds just so that the colors and tones match. A lot of times I do this very, very softly and I just kind of paint right around the edge of a subject so that this studio backdrop, which the tones are just a little bit different, maybe somebody moved forward or back and adjusted the lighting, will blend a little bit better. Now I have a custom mask. I was able to edit out the face that I didn't like, and I can either save this image, I can combine these two photos together and bring it into Perfect Effects, or I can export it from here.